Hey there, emerging expat. You're tuned in to Let's Move to Portugal. I'm Victoria from Expats Everywhere's podcast, and I have the distinct honor of bringing you, YouTube travelers, and our resident of Portugal experts, Expats Everywhere's Josh and Kalie. Each week they'll inspire, they'll educate, and they'll accompany you on your journey to Portuguese residency. This week on Let's Move to Portugal,
Josh and Kalie talk about their recent visit to the country they almost moved to before they chose Portugal. Stay tuned to find out which country it is and if they would still move there.
to keep this podcast going strong, we've included a few brief ads. Thanks for supporting us by listening.
We're very happy that Savvy Cat Realty wanted to support us and sponsor the podcast, as we're actually clients of theirs.
When we started our journey to purchase our property in Portugal back in 2022, they came right alongside us in the process.
And Savvy Cat Realty provides a highly tailored service to supporting those relocating to Portugal. Their mission is to find you the best match in continental Portugal. Their local experts will guide you through the whole process, keeping sustainability for both sides.
They have a full local team, including agents, lawyers, and engineers, making sure you are safe. And as locals, they believe fair prices are good for both sides.
And Savvy Cat Realty works with both rentals and purchases with budgets from $50K to millions, always making sure it's worth the cost.
Book a free call at savvycatrealty.com and have them on your side planning your move to Portugal.
Hey, expats and travelers alike. Welcome back to Expats Everywhere presents Let's Move to Portugal podcast. Kalie, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I feel like I say that every time, though. But I am doing well. Nothing bad. You? How are you doing?
Nothing bad. I have recovered. We're going to talk about what we did last week. But yeah, I've recovered. I'm back. I'm feeling good. And this is a good one today because we're talking about a place that we almost moved to before moving to Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And then going back there and seeing, could we move here?
Yeah. And it was the second time going back. So it was one of those, we loved it the first time we went, which is why it was a could we live here place. But then it was like, do we still have the same feelings about it now when we go back? What was it, like 8 years later?
Yeah.
I guess I have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think 8 years later.
I
Okay.
liked it.
So if you're not used to this format, I'm Josh and this is Kalie. And
Hi.
we're going to spend the next 5 to 10 minutes with you telling you how our week was. And then we'll get into the main event, which is actually us breaking down the differences between Portugal and Slovenia. Because I think there are definitely similarities and certainly differences.
Mm-hmm.
But, maybe if you're trying to look for other places other than Portugal to move to.
Or just travel to.
Yeah,
I don't know if Slovenia is on your radar, but it should be. It's a
It's
beautiful
not
country.
on most people's radars.
It's not.
However, neither was Portugal until, I don't know,
Years ago.
maybe 7-10 years ago,
Right.
max, probably
So-
7.
So we're going to break that down for you, but also too, we're kind of weaving these in because over the summer we took a trip and we've already done a couple. We did Austria, right?
Mhm.
Slovenia, we'll do Slovakia and Croatia here as well.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's not this isn't the typical form, I guess. It's more interviews, bringing other people on, talk about their experiences, different services. So this
Yeah.
is a little
And if you're
different.
watching on YouTube, you've seen an evolution of my hair.
People have been commenting on that.
Yeah.
Your hair. Someone the other day
Yeah.
actually was like, do you need a haircut? Because you hadn't done your hair and it was under your hat. And I think you took your hat off and it was like, whoa, you got a lot of hair under there.
Yeah.
It's looking good though.
Than's.
It's,
Appreciate that.
I think you and
I
your barber
styled
have
it.
been
We've been working
Working
It's
towards-
been a battle with my head. But he's a good guy. He's definitely patient. Patience is a joke.
you have thick hair though.
I do.
So-
Okay. So we got back from a trip to Switzerland. That was great. And then it was like 24 hours later, we turn around and we go down on a day trip to Lisbon to watch the mighty, mighty women's Arsenal champions of Europe play against Benfica
And when
and win, come out victorious 2-0. So for any of those Benfica fans, you probably didn't even know there's a women's game. Be honest.
That's
Be
terrible.
honest. No, it's true.
uh,
There were only 7,000 people in the stadium. And we're talking about Estádio da Luz, which is the largest stadium, I believe, the largest stadium in Portugal. Funny enough, it's actually the same architect that did the Arsenal stadium, did the Benfica stadium. Anyways, there were only 7,000 people there, and it must have been 1,500 Arsenal fans.
there were a lot of us.
So, yeah.
not many
So we
people
made
went.
up like 20% of all of the fans.
Yes.
If I'm doing
But it
my
was
math
fun.
right.
It was a long day though, because we're part of the Arsenal and Portugal supporters group, and so there was a lunch that was coordinated, and then there was something going on Pink Street. So we met some other people who came from the UK and hung out with them, and then we went to the game. The game was until 8, and then we had to get back to Porto, so we rolled in at like 3 a.m.
It was a good vibe. The funny thing is, like we last year we went to, I think it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago now, that we went to Arsenal versus Sporting. Yeah, it was last year, men's. And I feel like there were the same amount of police around the stadium for that game as there was the women's game. Yet, we're talking about 5x the number of fans, maybe 7x the number of fans at the men's game compared to the women's game.
Anyway,
it was
all
good
that
times.
to say, Friday morning, I was very tired.
It was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough, but we're back.
I know. Is it silly to say I feel like I'm getting too old for that? It was hard. But actually, we're getting ready to do it again, kind of similar in this week, because with the new business that I started called Slate and Key, we've got a webinar on Wednesday. But because it's focused on talking to you in the US, it has to be good timing. So we start that webinar at 1 a.m. So 1 to 2, and then we'll go to sleep. But I blocked out the morning time so we can sleep in. Well, our daughter will wake up, go to school, and then we'll go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Is the plan?
Yeah, exactly. So
wait, I'm gonna do a plug though. If you would like to be on,
I thought that was the plug.
No, I'm just gonna say, like, we can go ahead and put to sign up for the webinar. It is Wednesday, so soon. We can put that in the show notes and the description, or you can go to slateandkey.com, and there I will explain a little bit as to why Portugal is still an amazing place to move to. And then if you would like an extended service and lots of help moving, then you could
full service. Yeah,
you could use my services.
Okay, so this past week we put out a video that was our 5-year review on living here, and kind of all of the challenges, the positives, negatives, and room for growth that we've seen in the past 5 years. The video is flying right now. I think what we've noticed, and this is a little sad, no, it's sad, is that negative stuff gets views.
Yep.
Or perceived negativity.
Right.
So it's like, if there's a negative tinge to something, it tends to get more views.
People want to see what's going on.
Than if it's just like
neutral.
Either neutral. That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say bland, but neutral.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is tough because we're quite positive people, and we are honest though. So when we do see that there are problems or changes, then we will talk about it. But we don't want to just like manufacture something or make it seem like it's going to be super, super negative. Because I mean, all right, no place is perfect. So when we do talk about Portugal, there are pros and cons, of course.
Yeah.
But we don't need to harp on all the bad things. But it seems like a lot of people do that, and that's what gets clicks.
Yes,
kind of
that is.
We choose to stay optimistic.
The nature of the social media beast.
Yes. Yeah. It's not great, but.
So we put that video out. It's been flying. Thank you so much if you've watched it. We appreciate it. And we appreciate honestly, all the positivity that's been in the comment section.
Yeah.
I probably worked on the comment section for 3 hours last night. Maybe it was 2, and I'm exaggerating. Got, caught in a time warp. But I was just, really having a good time reading the comments, responding to them. It was exhausting, but it was fun. A lot of positivity.
Yeah,
only a couple negative comments, which you get that.
Typical. But at least it's positive.
Typical. So, okay, what else?
The big one.
Go ahead.
Okay. On Wednesday, October 22nd, is the next Parliament meeting.
Yes.
I know we talk about this all the time.
Yes.
They are supposed to be discussing citizenship. So actually the stuff that we've talked about for a while, they just had their meeting recently. It was the one that in July went to the president. The president gave it to Constitutional Court because he said there's stuff in here that I think needs to be checked. And the Constitutional Court said, yes, there are things in here that are unconstitutional. So they kicked it back to Parliament. Parliament went on recess. Then they met back here beginning of October, end of September, beginning of October. Anyway, all of that went ahead and passed. So and that was a lot more about the family reunification, which I speak with our lawyer about that on a episode that came out not too long ago. So if you want more information on that, look a few days back or a few episodes back with Diogo, and he breaks down the main things and that was before it got passed. So he was actually surprised when he wrote me and he's like, well, yeah, this got passed because majority, 70%, I think it was, of Parliament approved it. So that's why the president felt like he didn't need to send it back to the Constitutional Court. So he signed off on that, and then it has to get like published in the Gazette, is what they call, and then that's going to go through. So that's happened. But the big one that I think a lot of people are really looking into or wanting to see what happens is they're supposed to be talking, next up is the citizenship. Are we moving to 6, 7, 10 years? What's happening there?
Yeah.
So stay tuned because that's coming.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's anything else. So honestly, I'd just like to say, if you're wanting to know why we didn't choose Slovenia and why we ended up choosing Portugal,
good little hook here.
And if we would go back to Slovenia now that we've lived in Portugal, it's time for that. Let's do it. We know that relocating can be stressful. Trust us, Portugal is the 5th country we've relocated to.
So it's nice to have someone helping you out, which is why we can confidently recommend Global International Relocation, which is a leading provider of relocation, moving, and mobility services.
They can support individuals, families, and even businesses when it comes to moving internationally.
I like how they're able to simplify the relocation process, and they help with everything you can think of, and actually even those things that you don't think of.
Of course, you have the immigration side of things, but there are aspects like pet relocation, shipping your car, moving household goods, and settling in that are all things they assist with. They're really comprehensive when it comes to mobility.
With over 17 years of experience and having expertise in over 180 countries, they aren't just for your move to Portugal.
So for personalized assistance, visit global.pt or get in touch with us for an introduction and to receive a personalized relocation quote. One of the most important pre-move things to consider involves your finances. Here's the cool thing. If you've moved already, it's not too late.
Yeah, that's right, because we met John a little late in our journey, but he certainly helped us make sure that we're on the right track.
John McNerney from Green Ocean Advisors is an American living in Lisbon with an office in San Francisco, which helps him have a pulse on both sides of the pond. John helps people understand where they're at before they take the plunge and move abroad.
As a financial advisor, John can help you understand your financial position no matter what stage of life you're in, whether you're curious about what your realistic retirement date is or how to invest your money post-retirement.
His love for finance and the differences between US and Europe have given him the ability to guide his clients in the right direction when it comes to investing and allocating funds. For example, you might want to sell your house before you become a tax resident here in Portugal, so you're not paying additional taxes here.
Josh and I have even talked to him on several occasions about some major life events that have happened to us and how to navigate them smartly from a financial perspective. If you'd like to be put in touch with John from Green Ocean Global, click on his Calendly link below to schedule a free consultation that he provides our viewers to see if he's the right fit for you.
Just make sure that you choose the Expats Everywhere intro call for your free consultation. Well, let's dive into talking about Portugal and Slovenia. We'll do our best to compare these two. Origin story. If you are just new to kind of following our YouTube channel and following the podcast, when we were looking to leave Singapore, Slovenia was actually the top, like our top choice. And the reason is because it would have been a different region of Europe that we hadn't really explored. So we really gave Slovenia a hard look. And we didn't know at the time how good of an option Portugal was in terms of visas.
And kind of career change as well. So in Singapore, we were teachers. And so we were just looking at teaching. And Slovenia, we had been to Ljubljana before and loved it. That's why we were looking in Ljubljana.
You've already dropped Ljubljana. We'll get to that.
Yeah. So we had been there before and thought about, could we teach there? But when we looked at the different international schools, there were no job availabilities for both of us for the field that we were in. So we're like, okay, that's why we have to explore a bit more. And when we then started looking into Portugal, we also looked into teaching. But then we were like, what if we went to Expats Everywhere full time and living in Portugal, the cost of living, it's doable. So that's a little bit how we made the shift. I mean, there's more details to it.
I mean, I would say that the cost of living in Slovenia is not doable.
Right.
I think it more came down to the visa options.
Visa, exactly.
For sure. Because Portugal, we had a pathway with the D7 visa, which when we first learned about Portugal in terms of like how well we liked it, how awesome of a country it was, that was 2009, 2010. And at the time, there was no D7 visa. I believe that was introduced in 2012.
Oh, was it? Okay. Even if they had it, it would never have been on our radar, especially because a lot of it was known. Well, for a long time, it was known as the retiree visa or passive income, right?
Yeah.
But which wasn't the case on how we got in, obviously.
Right.
But then the split happened with the D78, passive active, all that fun stuff. So I don't even think like after when we were living in Spain and really liked Portugal, I don't know if that visa would have even been on our radar if it even existed.
That's very true because like we weren't yet established, set up to even qualify for that visa. So
we couldn't have even qualified for it.
Yeah.
The same way that with Expats
we would have been looking at Portugal. I mean, in fact, I remember very clearly thinking about Portugal as an option back in 2010 and switching from Spain to Portugal as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And even at the time, it was like, whoa, they prefer British. That was before Brexit.
Yeah, you're right.
So therefore, all of like the English teachers that were being hired were direct hires within Europe, because a school could bring in a British person, which is a native English speaking person, and therefore be able to have them
not have
bypass
visa.
the
It's
paperwork.
visa free. Yeah, because
right. To bring in an American was much more difficult. Not to say that wasn't happening. It was. The second thing is that they were able to, well, I shouldn't say the wages were just drastically less than I think what we were willing to accept.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, worse than Spain.
Which was low.
still livable. Like we could have made it on that.
Mm-hmm.
But, once we learned about those two factors, we kind of
we had
to look away. But still in the back of our minds was like, one day.
Yeah, of course.
One day we will find a way to live in Portugal.
But then when we were in Singapore, we're checking our options to get back to Europe. And Slovenia was definitely on our radar before Portugal, like you said.
Yeah.
But obviously, as fate would have it, we ended up in Portugal. So today we're going to compare. Yeah, we'll compare a little bit. We went to Ljubljana and drove in Slovenia. What year was that? 2018 for the first time? 2018?
Yeah, I was thinking 2017,
maybe
but it might be
2017.
2018. Yeah.
So we wanted to circle back to it because we liked it then, and we wanted to see if we still felt the same way about it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Kalie is probably throwing some people off right now by the pronunciation.
Oh.
When we were there, we learned that it seems as if we have been pronouncing the capital, Ljubljana, the wrong way. So it appears to be, at least to most English speakers, that it should be Ljubljana, but it's like, where's the extra I coming from?
I think it's that
the
silent J. So you see the dot and the silent J kind of makes it seem like there's an I in there, but there's not.
Yeah.
And it's just a silent J. So it's not Ljubljana because it looks like there's an I. It's Ljubljana.
Ljubljana and Slovenia, not Slovenia.
Oh, right.
Right.
Or I think you can also say Slovenia.
Slovenia.
Slovenia. I don't know.
Slovenia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, it's like it's a bit confusing. But in English, I think it's commonly accepted to say Ljubljana and Slovenia.
Right.
Right. Okay. So moving on from that little technicality that we found out while there, we also heard that another place that we went to in Slovenia, Lake Bled, is pronounced differently, but we didn't actually hear that said while there.
How else can you pronounce Bled? It's BLED. How else are you supposed to say it?
But I think the vowel might be different. Like the actual vowel sound in Slavic might be different.
Okay. Well, but in English, it's
like
acceptable to say like oh yeah, I, you know what? I guess I did hear people like Bled. Yeah, it's Bled. Yeah, like Bled. Oh, you kind of do a mix in between. Anyway, so on this trip that was our first time actually going to Lake Bled. Now I don't know how to say it.
Let's just say Bled. Because I mean, in English, we would say Lake
Bled, which is a beautiful lake that I felt. I mean, we were in high season. We were there in August, so it felt a little like touristy. A resort. Like a resort.
Yes.
I guess you could say
it did feel like a resort destination, like a lake resort destination. Tahoe.
Yeah, because even their like bus stops, I don't know if you noticed, look like wood. It wasn't like a normal, like this is a normal looking
like a
city
bus stop.
Yeah, it was like wood, kind of almost like it kind of felt a little bit like Disney, like how Disney would probably, and I think they do have buses and their own buses, but the bus stops don't look like a traditional city bus stop even though that's what it is, it just looks fancier, like a fancier bus stop. I noticed that. So I thought that gives it a little more of that resorty feel.
Yeah. Around many cities in Europe, you see more contemporary, I think might be the word you're looking for, contemporary style bus stops. You know, it's glass and steel or whatever. But this was more traditional looking.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was something a little different, but it's still very beautiful, great for visiting. I don't know, if you'd want to live there because of how seasonal it is.
Lake Bled.
Yeah, in that area. It might get too touristy in the summer.
Yeah.
But
we were told after we made our first trip, again, it was 2017, 2018. We told some people that we had been through Slovenia, and they were like, "Did you go to Bled?" Because we stayed several days in Ljubljana, and we were like, "No, like it was on our radar, but we just didn't feel like we had enough time. So we didn't end up making the drive there."
Because it's only like a 45-minute drive from Ljubljana.
Yeah,
so
it's
pretty
close.
easy to do for a day trip. You don't have to necessarily stay over.
But we just didn't make the time for it. We were traveling with Kalie's parents at the time, and we just didn't want to like be bouncing around everywhere. So it was really nice to make this venture there. I would love to see it in the off season.
See how quiet it is or how chill compared to the busyness of summer.
I would really wonder about the livability of it, because really, I think you're looking at, there's maybe only 5 like cities really that are kind of developed with, moderate amounts of amenities, and really maybe only 1 or 2, Maribor being the second city of Slovenia that has amenities moderate to a lot of amenities.
Okay, so Lake Bled, is there a comparison in Portugal? Is there something similar that we could say would be? I don't know if Portugal has anything that's similar. I mean,
maybe like a Jerez. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess a little bit you could say.
So Jerez is a mountain town that's also a national park, which is Jerez, the same name. Yeah, it's quite big though, Jerez, compared to the kind of the area around Bled.
Right. It's a little bit of a comparison.
At least what it looks like on a map, anyways.
Right. Just to give you an idea, it is a beautiful lake with things to do around it, Lake Bled. So comparison could be Jerez.
We haven't been to enough of the like outdoorsy things in Portugal
to give a good comparison.
To make a good comparison. Yeah. Portuguese audience, if you know a good outdoor, like kind of resorty feel
lake, big lake, or even if you've been to Lake Bled and there is a comparison in Portugal, throw it out there.
Drop it in the comments. I'm curious because I'd like to kind of do that research, but
okay.
I don't know if there is. So
similar.
Maribor, second largest city, we have not been there, so we can't really like say how it compares to Porto. But I do think that the capital kind of compares to Porto.
More so than like Lisbon, is like size-wise and feel and everything.
Yeah. So for comparison, Portugal is a country of around 10, 11 million in population, whereas Slovenia is around 2 million. So you're talking about
big difference,
1/5 the size. Like people want to say, "Oh, Portugal's so small," when they compare it to the likes of Spain and France and Germany.
Yep.
But then when you compare it, when you compare Slovenia to then Portugal, it's basically the same comparison that you make with Portugal and those big boys.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so it's much smaller. So that's why the capital, Ljubljana, maybe feels a bit more like a second city, or a second European city as far as like size and hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
I really like the city. So when we first went, we really liked it, which is obviously why we're like, how could we live here? So we thought, okay, let's go back and see if we feel the same way, 8 years later, I guess, about 8 years later.
Yeah.
And we did. It took a little bit though. I think at first we were like, it feels like it's changed. Don't know how. But then as we kind of walked a bit more and got settled, I think that we were like, yeah, this is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to back up and say like at least from my perspective, the motivators behind moving to a place like Slovenia was more to do with geography than anything. Like we hadn't explored that region of Europe or the world much at all, because it gives you closer proximity to some of the like Eastern European
like
countries.
obviously
'Cause I would
Bulgaria,
say
Romania,
this is more
Hungary,
Central Europe,
Croatia.
right?
Yeah.
Not Eastern Europe, but it's right there, kind of on the edge, where it's pretty easy, at least in theory,
Easier.
to get a car, like rent a car, or if you own a car. Renting a car is actually more challenging because there's some places you can't cross borders.
When you get a little further south of like Croatia, and, when you get
further south of Croatia,
Croatia's fine, but some of the other places there are restrictions. So
yeah,
I think.
But if we owned a car while living there, so geography was definitely a main motivator for why I was looking at Ljubljana. Not to mention that we got a good feeling about the city.
We do like the city. Now, I think the one scare would be the weather. I'm always on about the weather, but I don't love being cold. I'm okay with snow, but for me, it's like, I would be fine with snow if I could be like guaranteed there will be 30 days of snow and that's it. And then it stops. But like if it drags on, that's when I'm like, oh, it's too much.
Yeah.
Cause I just like being outside and walking around and everything. And I mean, obviously it gets rainy in Porto. You can walk from A to B, no problem. So I think you just adjust once you're there. But also when it's, cooler and rainier in the winter here, it's not like cold. Yeah. Like I'm, would be a little concerned with it being like cold there. So you're walking from A to B, but it's like frigid. So that would be a concern. Yeah. That's a difference, I think, weather-wise between Portugal and Slovenia.
Yeah. I mean, so we pulled it up and looked to see what the climate is. And the climate, certainly inland, would be classified as continental.
So what does continental mean?
You've got a variance between
of mountains and everything.
Continental in terms of like basically what the majority of Europe has.
Because it's not coastal.
Off the coast.
It's not Mediterranean, so interior.
Right.
Okay.
So along the coast, it's classified as sub-Mediterranean. Which is a climate, even though it's off the Adriatic. There's not anything, at least that I'm aware of, called sub-Adriatic. It's just we're talking about the way that climate's classified.
Yeah.
So continental is like what most of the continental Europe experiences in terms of weather. You have warm to hot summers and cool to cold winters. So there's like a big temperature variance.
Right.
Versus a place like Ecuador, where the temperature's pretty stable all year round.
Yeah.
Versus Singapore, where it's basically the same all year round.
Right.
Yeah.
So you'll get seasons.
Yeah, there's seasonality.
Cooler winters than Portugal.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But then on the other side of it, it appears that the housing is much more well equipped to deal with colder weather.
Which would make sense. They should be. Yeah. So maybe you don't get like the mold and the moisture and stuff on interior the same way that you could in Portugal.
Right. Well, and we didn't experience in our 2 times visiting during the summer, we didn't experience overly hot periods either. Right. So
we don't know how hot it gets.
Yeah. We don't know how hot it gets. And we also don't know how well equipped the housing is
for that,
to dealing with it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, nowadays it seems like there's a lot of heat waves that are coming through Europe, everywhere maybe. So what would a heat wave look like there? I guess so. The first time we were there, we did stay in an Airbnb style, and I remember being comfortable. The second time we were in a hotel.
Yes.
So kind of a bit of a varied options there because hotel had air conditioning.
Yes.
So
for sure. Now looking at GDP of the two, I mean, I would say that they're close, but GDP per capita, Slovenia is better than Portugal. Slovenia is 33 in Europe, and Portugal's 41.
Okay.
So
similarities there.
I mean, when I said in Europe, but that's in the world. So let me restate that. The GDP of Slovenia per capita, I've got it pulled up here, is PPP 34th in the world. And in the world. And then Portugal is 41.
So Slovenia is better.
Slovenia is better
than Portugal worldwide.
Per capita GDP.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, we did see that the costs of living there, like costs were higher, I would say, like just for normal, like restaurant, shops, that stuff. I think higher, but not crazy high.
Okay.
What do you think? Like as far as cost of living goes and comparing it with Portugal, I think that like being in Ljubljana is a bit more, I think, closer as well as cost to Porto as opposed to Lisbon, because some of the Lisbon prices can be a little higher. What do you think about overall cost of living there?
I think housing, I'd really like to dig into the housing there. I'm wondering if they're experiencing something similar to Portugal. It did seem like housing was out of whack.
Yeah.
Now, we do know that the income levels in Slovenia are better than like the average income of Portugal, but it still seemed like too big of a percentage of someone's monthly income was going to housing.
So a bit, I mean, I think Europe is kind of experiencing this in most places. Like, I don't want to call it like a housing crisis, but just kind of a
Some places are
supply.
experiencing it,
Yeah, supply demand, they're just not enough.
Yeah.
So then that drives prices up.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a factor of they haven't built enough to keep up with demand, or
Right.
It's not as if though there's rising levels of population, but it could be a factor of immigration. But Slovenia has not really experienced that much immigration. We got into a conversation with a Slovenian about this, and then we also,
you can
just
see it walking around.
You kind of visually see it.
Well, I mean, I think on our last podcast we talked about being in Vienna.
Yep.
And we just did a video for Expats Everywhere Explorers about Belgium, and so just talking about the immigration there, like you can just see it.
Yes.
When you walk around, the
you can
variety.
see it, you can hear it.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell like what is tourism and like what isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. So it seems like there is a lot less immigration. I wonder, are they harder on their policies with it? But one thing too is they don't have as many visa opportunities and options as other parts of Europe do, which is one of the reasons that we, when we were looking, we were like, okay, if we can't get a job teaching at an international school who would then sponsor our visa, is there anything else available? And at that time, there was not.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's kind of where I was going to lean. I think that it leans that way, where they don't have a lot of pathways to work and live, as many pathways to work and live there.
Yeah. So just less working people coming. But I wonder now, I mean, a lot of Europe is starting to have some sort of like digital nomad visa or remote worker visa. I haven't looked to see if they have that, but if they don't now, at some point they possibly will, because it is becoming more of a popular visa around Europe.
Yeah, when it also seems like from talking to some people there. So disclaimer, I mean, you can kind of barely see Kalie's shirt. So Kalie's shirt is Arsenal Portugal.
Here we go.
And
yeah, I will say I'm wearing red. It is not Benfica red. It is Arsenal red.
Do you want to explain Arsenal Portugal real quick?
Sure. Arsenal Portugal is a group of us, Portuguese and foreigners who are living in Portugal but support Arsenal. So we're part of their, what do you call it? Not fan.
Yeah, supporters club.
A supporters club.
Official
so we're official supporters club of Portugal that supports Arsenal.
Yeah.
It is part of like the official Arsenal club.
Yes. Okay. So there are all of these types of official supporters clubs around Europe, and there's one in Slovenia. And before we went, I reached out to the one in Slovenia and said, "Hey, I'm a part of the one in Portugal. Are you going to be watching the match while we're going to be there?" And the guy reached out to me and said, "Yes, we are." I also asked them if we could do like a swag exchange.
Yeah.
So we have supporter scarves, and I brought a Portugal supporter scarf, and he traded me for a Slovenia training top. So he has like, it's a t-shirt or jersey.
A little bit like a jersey. Yeah.
That I traded him for. All
That's
that
cool.
to say, we got into a conversation with some of those guys just about kind of life in Slovenia. And I found out from both guys that we mainly talked to that tech is certainly big there. And a lot of companies kind of are doing remote working there. So you have people that are based there, but working for British companies, Irish companies, whatever. Therefore, they've got different incomes compared to, people that are working on the local economy.
Right.
But then also, like, one of the reasons they're hiring those people is their level of English. So like English being the kind of business language. I mean, they were talking about how they work with people where if they were speaking in their Slavic language with their dialect, they can still understand people in the region, but they all just end up speaking
English
not always, but they end up speaking English a lot at work, even though they can be understood kind of in their mother tongue.
But I think in that group,
Interesting.
it seemed like everyone was from Slovenia.
Yes. There was one foreigner, at least he looked like a foreigner. He looked somewhere in East Asia. We didn't actually get to speak with him. But yeah.
But that was cool being able to talk to some of the local people as well. And you kind of already have a connection, so it's not weird. It's not just like randomly starting a conversation with someone at a cafe or a restaurant. It's like we've come together because of Arsenal to watch the game, and we already knew beforehand, but then you could have the conversation and meet some of the locals. That's cool.
Yeah.
They're very nice.
And he, like, the main guy was super insistent on buying us a round of drinks.
Yeah.
So that was very nice.
Yeah, I think that as far as like people goes, maybe a little colder compared to the Portuguese, especially with like kids and family. But once you talk to them, just as nice.
Yeah.
But like to crack into it, I guess. But this is where I think Portugal is just so good. Portugal and Spain really are so good when it comes to the warmth that that people just give off when you just walk by them. But then like the smiles at the kids, or they're letting you go, in front of them, and that stuff, it just feels a little warmer in Portugal and Spain compared to a lot of other places in Europe. Agreed.
Okay, so I've pulled up the immigration stats. So for Slovenia, these are stats from 2021. About 14%, so 13.9% of the population of Slovenia was born abroad. Now, obviously, that doesn't tell us maybe if they're Slovenian, born abroad and moved back. Most likely, these are like foreigners. They're
So it's probably a low percentage compared to other countries.
Well, I mean, in saying that, Portugal's about that percentage. Portugal stats, this is as of 2024.
Yeah.
The quote is, legal resident foreigners number just over 1.5 million, or approximately 14% of the population. Right?
Well, I wonder, Slovenia was from 2021. I wonder if anything has changed. It didn't feel like it, though. So I guess you could see that those numbers might actually be about the same. I do think it is funny that it says legal resident foreigners, because for Portugal, as opposed to Slovenia, doesn't say that. But
yeah, I mean, we might have to dig a little further, and there might be some wording like that with Slovenia. But it's interesting to see that these figures don't include the more than 340,000 resident foreigners who acquired Portuguese citizenship between 2008 and 2022. And this is a process that we're going through now. So a little over 3% of Portugal's population is foreign born, but now Portuguese citizens.
Right.
That's interesting to think about.
It is, yeah. Any other stats you want to throw out?
I mean, as of right now, no. I mean, like, I guess what's interesting to me is, even though we didn't feel or visibly see that there were a lot of foreigners, let's say,
or a similar amount of foreigners to Portugal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it didn't seem as if it's the same as Portugal.
Right.
It feels like there's more in Portugal, but it could be because the population's so much bigger. So like, I don't know. I mean, there is a population density thing that you work with too, because the size of Ljubljana is about the same size as Porto, but it's significantly smaller than Lisbon.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about, it's a capital city, but it's half the size.
Right.
Ljubljana is under 300,000. Porto's a little more than, I think, half, 250,000 population. And then the second city, Maribor, is not even 100,000.
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
Quite a population difference. And so you feel that as well when you're walking around. Although, I mean,
there feels to be more space, I guess, like personal. You know what, though, with personal space, we felt like on this trip, there were so many more people that felt comfortable, like walking close
right behind
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so bizarre.
That was
men and women alike.
Yeah. Like really close.
Yeah. Like you're worried, like what's over your shoulder.
Why are you so close to me? That's funny.
Portugal, you don't get that.
No. I will say, compared to last time we were in Ljubljana, this time, because we were both times, I think it was in August, around the same time, summertime, it felt a lot busier down in the center area. around the river, the main river, and it's known for its
Agreed.
bridges and stuff. But by like the main square with the church, like it just felt a lot like there were a lot more tourists.
Tourism's up. We heard a lot of American English.
Yeah.
A lot.
Which was interesting.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not as if like we have our like beacon up for that.
No, you just kind of, I mean, it's natural to hear that, right? Like when you just hone in on that, as opposed to sometimes we'll be walking places and Josh will be like, did you hear that? It was Portuguese. And I was like, nope, didn't even notice. But if it's English, then yeah, then I do notice. But yeah, so Josh is always picking up on the different languages. But not me. I'm oblivious, except for English, especially American English. Maybe it's because like you don't expect it as well, right? Like, I don't know. Tourism is up from Americans going to Slovenia seems kind of interesting, as it's not necessarily one of the top places I think that people think of to visit when they visit Europe. But maybe what's happening is because there's a lot more tourism elsewhere there, like if you've already been to the likes of Spain, France, Italy, Germany, you're then looking for a few other places, and Slovenia is a really good option for that.
Well, yeah, I was going to come to that actually, because I think, I mean, for lack of a better term, like the cat's out of the bag, that Slovenia is interesting, nice place, that Ljubljana is a very interesting place to visit. But in the same way, if you're listening to this and thinking about going and visiting to escape like the tourist crush of other places, I don't know if it's an escape.
Oh, like not anymore. Maybe it was.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to go. Like, check it out. I'm not discouraging anybody.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not as quote unquote crushing as some of the other places, but there's still a lot of tourism there. So it's not like you're going to find this like a hidden gem, I guess you could say.
Right. Well, I mean, like Lake Bled wasn't as serene and relaxing as I guess I had envisioned in my mind.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the landscape, absolutely. But in terms of the number of people and the density, no, it wasn't fun.
That's true. We were in August as well, though.
I mean, it's peak European tour season, and I want to say we were there last time in July.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is a difference.
That could be a big difference as well. So maybe it did feel busier this time around because it was August rather than July. Because you're right, I think it was earlier in the summertime.
Yeah. So, I did want to bring that up because I think it's important to make that distinction on, what a place feels like in terms of tourism. Because there are some people that we know that are very, I don't want to say anti-tourism, because I don't think that that's the right way of phrasing it, but just you don't want to go to like the overly tourist places.
You want to find something that's not where everyone else is going, maybe. Yeah.
The other interesting city that I saw was the fifth most populated city. Don't know how to pronounce it. I'm going to guess it's Cooper.
Okay. On the coast?
Koper. Yeah, it's on the coast. They just, I think this school year started an international school. Remember? So it's it's a little over 26,000 people. That's pretty small. That's the fifth most populated city.
Wasn't it in Ljubljana that you met some of the ladies who they were talking about the school? Like there's one international school in maybe not one, but there's international school in Ljubljana. I think you were at a playground. I think
yes.
And there were two ladies. One was the wife of an embassy worker.
Yep.
Yeah. So
they actually both are. One had been there for a couple years, and the other one had just arrived like that
week or something. So you were asking them how they like it.
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah, they love it.
I mean, they were speaking very glowingly about just the pace of life there, the safety, the education system's solid. They feel welcomed. They haven't experienced any problems, getting by with English. We actually didn't have a conversation about what is it like learning Slovenian.
Oh man, that seems hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I mean, that's a language that we haven't even tried to
understand any of it. I mean, like
broach.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm still working on Portuguese. So, but yeah, so they seem to really enjoy it. So that was an interesting take. Obviously, one who had just arrived, so it's kind of all new. But sometimes the first couple of weeks can be like in a new place can be like really difficult, and then you might wonder like, what did I do? Why am I here? I don't like this because I don't know what's going on. So the fact that she wasn't thinking like that after a week or two in, and then the lady who has been here for a couple of years was also speaking highly of it after being in there, being there a couple of years. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, basically the one veteran, she was like, if we could stay longer, we would. But I don't know if you know this, but they rotate.
Yeah.
So they have assignments. They go for a certain number of years, and then they get located somewhere else.
I think that's a really fascinating job. An embassy worker.
It's a fascinating job, but it's also like obviously a bit transient.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the right mindset, I think, to know for sure that every 2 to 3, maximum 5 years, I guess, that you'd be on to somewhere else.
And they could be kind of really different
places. That's exactly what I was
right?
going to say. It could be drastically different.
Because I think that you have to hit the different continents, right? Like, so
I think not only that, but you have to eat some, you know what, for a little bit. Because
seniority, right? To get.
I don't even think I don't think it's seniority. From the conversation I had with her, which I haven't talked to too many like diplomats or diplomats' spouses, but it does sound as if you stay in it long enough, you get moved around from the good places to the bad places or less desirable.
Okay. Yeah.
Like
you still have to go to those places, of course. Like,
yeah,
you can't avoid them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm not going to name any bad places because I don't want to offend anybody, but you know what they are.
Okay. So I think, are we at that time where we're going to compare or talk about if we would expat that?
Are we?
I think so.
Yeah. This might be a long-winded answer, but Kalie,
I'll ask you first.
Okay.
Would you expat Slovenia? And to expat, that means to live for a shortish to medium term, but not obviously like laying down roots, as some people will say. But would you live there?
I would.
Okay.
It'd be scary.
Why?
Well, I feel really good here in Portugal. I feel like although my linguistic ability has not progressed nearly as much as I want, I do feel like I'm getting there slowly with the language, and to have to start over, start new, that would be challenging.
Uh-huh.
I do think it would be an interesting culture to dive into. Like this is why I didn't want to do this yet, but we didn't come on to the food. So the food actually really surprised me as we started to dabble a little more with Slovenian food. I feel like I could do Slovenian food.
Yeah. Agreed.
I would have to figure out like how to balance my macros, because it's a very meat heavy, but also there's a lot of bread going on. It seems like a lot of calorie dense food. It's not a light
isn't that cuisine. A lot of places that are cold, you kind of have that heartier food anyway.
For sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. They've got good beer, although Portugal does too. Shout out Superbock. Not Sagres. So I think in that term, I'm down with it. And when you're down with the food, it makes it easier.
Yeah.
I think to live in a place.
Mm-hmm.
The cost of living wise, I wasn't impressed with that.
It wasn't as low as you would like.
Yeah. If you want to put it that way, it's not as economical as Portugal, rents notwithstanding. So I think there's that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, like, this is why I said this was going to be a longer answer, because we haven't touched on some of the things that I think are important when you're considering and when you're making a comparison, certainly between the two. But I do think the language thing would scare me. I think I would end up doing it, but the language thing would scare me. There's nothing else about it, maybe apart from the weather, that would put me off from giving it a go. The people are nice. We have a supporters club. Our supporters club.
We already have
we can get
built-in
involved.
friends.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. The football.
Yeah.
Portugal has a fun league.
Yeah.
Wherever you live, just about, you've got a local team that you could support and go to matches and get involved in the culture in that way. I don't think I'd be doing that in Slovenia. Now, maybe that would mean I'd be saving some money.
True. Yeah, definitely.
But
you would just stick to Arsenal.
I don't know that. Like, I don't think I'd get into the Slovenian league.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
They've got good players. Their national team's good.
Mm-hmm.
Sheshko, Oblak.
So maybe you would.
They've got a goalkeeper and a striker.
Go watch those games.
The national team games?
Yeah. With friends.
Which we haven't been able to do a national team Portugal game yet. We go to the men or women. We just keep missing out on tickets.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, being a fan of the league here and having a team like FC Porto to support, has been awesome.
Yeah.
It's been a way to have community, meet more Portuguese, connect with Portuguese people for sure.
It's a good way
Kalie,
to connect.
would you expat Slovenia?
Yes, I would. I'd be interested in exploring some of the other cities. I really like Ljubljana, but I would like to see what the other cities are like, if they would feel too small or if they would be okay. But I could definitely see myself living in Ljubljana. Like you're saying, the food is really good. I really like the feel of the city, walking around. The thing that would scare me the most would be the weather. I think I already said that. The language, I would obviously try to learn the typical things that you would say, but I think their English is so good. I don't know if I could ever achieve the language well enough to where it's like, let's just do this in English because your English is way better than where I am and when, in your language. So I would try. I think it's always good to try and to learn a little bit, but my Portuguese is probably going to be far better than if we were to move there. But at least I speak enough English that, that it would be okay. But I really like Ljubljana. I would like to explore different cities. So I would say, yes, I would expat that.
Okay. That's okay. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Cooper's Cooper, Koper, I think that would be the only city outside of Ljubljana and Maribor.
Yeah, that's what I would think too.
That I would care to explore, and it's because of the coast.
Yeah, the coast. I think that would be a completely different feel. So I would.
Because you'd be close to Croatia.
Mm-hmm.
You can drive to Croatia in I think under an hour, and then you can get over to Italy in I think like 30 minutes or less.
Yeah, so that would be a cool place to be
part of the world.
Positioned. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bad airport connectivity.
That is true.
Dodgy. International school.
Yeah. The pros and the cons. All depends.
Right. So we'll leave it there. I mean, for sure, Portugal is our spot.
Yep.
Portugal's our spot. I'm not going to say there's a winner and a loser here, but this was the comparison. And hopefully it was fun for you listening in.
Stay tuned for the next comparison.
All right. Ciao.